Boop. Happy Wednesday. Today is Wednesday, January the 27th, 2021, and today's daily Bible readings come to us from Psalm 46, Proverbs 8, 1 through 21, and then Mark 3, 13 through 19. I'm actually going to look at Proverbs today and talk about hanging out with Prudence, which is what wisdom, who's the personification of wisdom, right, in this book of the Bible is talking about. So if you've never read Proverbs before, it's a book about wisdom. It's in the wisdom tradition. And wisdom, or Sophia, which would be the Greek name, is written up as a character, right? And it quite often, let's put it this way, wisdom addresses the audience, addresses you as her audience. And like the NRSV here is gentle about it, but other translations, like wisdom literally is like, hey, stupid, yeah, I'm talking to you. And I just got an email. So the main point of this is that wisdom, Sophia, in this whole book of Proverbs, isn't really convinced that you've got all the answers. And in fact, she knows that you don't. She knows that you're a poser. She knows I'm a poser. She knows that human beings, almost by default, we pretend to know a lot about stuff that we don't really know about. We pretend to have all the answers, and we don't, and we get ourselves into trouble. But that's okay, because wisdom is calling us simpletons, as it says in one translation. She's calling us with an offer. Wisdom is calling out to us and saying that, hey, I live with Prudence. Not like Prudence as a character, but for me, it just sounds like that. Like, because that's also a woman's name, right? Prudence. Don't name your child that. Anyway, but wisdom is calling out and says like, hey, I live with Prudence every day. I live this out. Let me teach you, right? So she lives with Prudence and has learned some things along the way, and she's willing to pass these on to us if we're willing to listen. If we'll, in other words, it also says in some translations, if we'll just come to our senses, if we'll learn to behave, right? Which being prudent goes a long way to behaving like a human being. So, admit it. You don't really know what you're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. A lot of people probably agree with that. But of course, that's the point, right? To gain wisdom, to learn prudence, to be prudent, to be a sensible person as far as the Bible is concerned, to be a person who, as it says here, fears God, is to admit, first of all, that you don't really know everything that's going on. That your perspective is limited, that it is, as Jesus says over and over again in the Gospels, that we're kind of blind. We're running blind here. You have to admit that you don't know it all. Something, like I said, by nature, we seem to have a hard time doing, and some of us much more than others. Some people live under this default status that they can never admit that they don't know what's going on, or that they can never admit that they don't have all the answers. And what's more, they can't even afford for other people to have the answers, because then it just makes them look stupider. Anyway, and so, that alone, Proverbs says here, wisdom says here, that alone can be a source of evil. It can be equated with evil. It goes on to say in verse 13, I think. I covered it up. Anyway, but it says, and I've just written it down, so I don't even know why I'm looking at it, because I have the quote here. Pride and arrogance and the way of evil and perverted speech I hate. That's wisdom talking. So there's this pridefulness, this arrogance that is equated with evil and perverse speech that comes out of this reticence to admit that we don't have all the answers. We can't get it done on our own, right? So what do you know? The question is, do you know enough to listen to what God is trying to tell you? Do you know enough to open yourself up to this gift of wisdom that God is trying to share with you in your deafness and blindness? Anyway, that's the DBR for today. We'll be back tomorrow on Thursday with another DBR for you, and you can be looking forward to Friday with Huggins. Anyway, have a good day. Boop.